How is everyone doing? Welcome back to another episode of The Banker Next Door. I am your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. Today, we're going to be looking at a little bit of a sad story. Bernard Marcus, otherwise known as Bernie Marcus, recently passed away. He was the co-founder of the Home Depot and just a man who revolutionized a certain corner of the real estate industry. Basically, the Home Depot's rise just created kind of what we now know as the do-it-yourselfer. How people invest in, or I should say, so many people got into investing in real estate because the Home Depot made it so easy to go and learn how to do things, how to get the supplies and all the materials and things that you needed. Contractors, it made life in certain respects a lot easier for contractors because they now had one place that they could go to and put in their contract orders and get all the tools and supplies and materials, everything that they needed to carry out all the projects and things that they were working on. So, but I wanted to take a look at this article real quick on Bernie. And so this is from the Wall Street Journal. And this basically says, Bernard Marcus, co-founder of the Home Depot, passes away at 95. Chain of warehouse style stores used cavernous interiors, low prices to lure customers. So after getting fired together from a warehouse business in the 1970s, Bernard Marcus and Arthur Blank set out to build their own retail chain. They started with a few stores in Atlanta and built Home Depot into a national powerhouse that made them both billionaires. Marcus, who retired as chairman in 2002, died at the age of 95, Home Depot announced on Tuesday. The partners founded Home Depot in 1978, creating a chain of warehouse-style stores where forklifts tooted their horns as customers searched for paint, lumber, tools, and other hardware stacked high on bare concrete floors. When they opened their first store, they handed out orange aprons to their staff and predicted that rivals would choke on our sawdust. At first, customers were scarce. A special offer of $35 for fireplace screens sold elsewhere for $139 helped generate traffic. Word spread about the store's low prices and staggering array of merchandise. Within 2 decades, Home Depot was the dominant U.S. home improvement chain. Born May 12, 1929, Bernard Marcus was the son of Russian immigrants who lived in Newark, New Jersey, where his father was a cabinet maker, strong as an ox, a great craftsman, but a terrible businessman, as his son later described him. The family, Orthodox Jews, lived in a 4th-floor apartment. It was freezing in the winter and hot as hell in the summer, Marcus recalled in Built from Scratch, a memoir he wrote with Arthur Blank. I tell the story that it was so bad that they tore it down to build a slum. In high school, he learned hypnosis and worked as a waiter at a country club. He initially wanted to become a psychiatrist, but after concluding that he couldn't afford medical school, got a Bachelor of Science degree in pharmacy from Rutgers University. After a brief, unhappy stint in the pharmacy business, he launched a career in managing discount stores, starting at the Two Guys chain in New Jersey. Marcus and Blank met in the early 1970s while working for Dalen. Marcus was chief executive of Dalen's Handy Dan Home Improvement Centers. Blank joined Handy Dan as a financial manager in 1974. Trained as an accountant, Blank was more reserved than the gregarious, wisecracking Marcus. Their boss, Sanford Sigaloff, the CEO of Dalen, called himself Ming the Merciless after a character in a Flash Gordon movie. If you're of a certain age, you'll understand why that's funny. In April 1978, Sigaloff summoned Marcus and Blank to Dalen's head office. He accused them of allowing an employee to create a fund that was improperly used to thwart a union drive at Handy Dan stores in San Jose, California. Marcus and Blank said they knew nothing about the fund and maintained that the accusations were merely a pretext for firing them. Sigaloff later told the Wall Street Journal that the firing was justified, but congratulated the two men for building a magnificent business. Getting fired spurred Marcus and Blank to pursue their own retail vision of cavernous stores where they could stack up cut-priced lumber, paint, and hardware. Cash was so short in the early days that store employees sometimes used empty boxes to make the shelves look fully stocked. To drum up business at their initial stores in Atlanta, they sometimes dispatched their wives and children to offer dollar bills to anyone willing to visit Home Depot. Ken Langen, A New York investment banker introduced the Home Depot founders to Ross Perot, the businessman and sometime presidential candidate. Perot considered investing in Home Depot, but objected to one detail. The new company was going to assume the lease payment on Marcus's used Cadillac. In their book, the founders wrote that Perot told them, "My people don't drive Cadillacs. My guys drive Chevrolets." Marcus recalls replying, "Look, this is a 4-year-old car and I'm a big guy. It is cheaper to have an old Cadillac than it is to go out and get a new Chevrolet." That ended discussions of a Perot investment in Home Depot. Asked later about the episode, Perot conceded that he had missed an exceptional investment opportunity. The chain grew steadily across the U.S. 10 years after the first Home Depot opened, the number of stores topped 100. By 1999, the total exceeded 900. But not all of their ideas panned out. Home Depot began opening expo stores with upscale home decor products, but they floundered and the expo chain was closed in 2009. In 2012, Home Depot pulled the plug on an effort to build home improvement warehouse stores in China. Home Depot initially scoffed at rivals such as Lowe's. A Home Depot manager once dressed up in combat fatigues and urged employees to resist the expansion of Lowe's into Georgia and kick these cooters back to Booger Hollow where they belong. By the late 1990s, Lowe's had become a serious rival, partly because women preferred its better lighted and cleaner looking stores. And I'll come back to that in a moment. His major donations, including founding the Georgia Aquarium healthcare facilities in Georgia and Florida, and the Israeli Democracy Institute, a think tank in Jerusalem. He is a co-founder of Job Creators Network, which defines its mission as educating the public about how government policies affect small business owners and job opportunities. He married his wife, Billy, in 1973. It was the second marriage for both, and he had 2 children from his first marriage. So, again, Bernie was just, he was the classic example of an American entrepreneur, and just I think he epitomized that American entrepreneurial spirit, and just became an amazing success with the success of Home Depot. And I just want to share one thing. So Amazon. If anyone has not, so this is the book that they basically wrote. Or I had to actually read this book through a training program when I, 24 years ago when I was first in banking. But the book here is called "Built from Scratch: How a Couple of Regular Guys Grew Home Depot from Nothing to $30 billion." I highly recommend this book if anybody has not read it or seen it. There's just some really funny stories in there about, especially how when they first opened, how they got going in the early days, and and it was very important to them. They didn't want the stores to look super clean. One of the first stores they opened up, one of the employees they hired was just a very zealous employee who just really wanted to do a great job, and he stayed in there all night the night before they opened, basically buffing the floors. And when they came in to open the store to have the grand opening, Bernie and Marcus basically, almost had a heart attack, because they were like, "No, we don't want our floors to look spotless. We want we want there to be sawdust. We want there to be, kind of an element of this is, we're rolling up our sleeves to get to work. This is a place where, we're moving materials in and out all day long. This is the do-it-yourself, dreamscape, so to speak. This is people getting down and dirty to get things done." And that was kind of the motif, the culture, if you will, that they wanted to imbue in all of the Home Depots. And it was something that in a very real way kind of endeared themselves to the customers because of how they did it. It was that unique culture of what they built. But if you haven't had a chance, go out and read this book. And again, Bernie really had, I think a lot of people that worked for him would say that they really loved working for this man, that he built an incredible company, an incredible culture. And you don't do that by not taking care of people. I think he took care of his employees. I think he did and I think he was a great, CEO, great co-founder, and did a wonderful job with the Home Depot. So like I said, so I wanted to just put this episode out acknowledging Bernie. I did do an episode a few months ago where I acknowledged the passing of Dr. Daniel Kahneman, and Dr. Jim Simmons. And so I like to do these episodes. I like to point out some individuals that may have passed away that just had, incredible success in their lives, either in the financial world or as entrepreneurs in America here, and really just did, people who did great things, accomplished great things, and just to show that you can accomplish great stuff. I mean, this is the beauty of capitalism. This is what capitalism allows you to do. I mean, let's look at Arthur Blank is now the owner of the Atlanta Falcons. Has probably achieved more in his life than in his wildest imagination, and so did Bernie Marcus here. So again, I hope people find this episode interesting. Like I said, if you have never checked out their book, go check it out. Someday I'll tell the story of why I had to read that book and what I did and what I had to do as part of the training program that I went through, because I thought it was one of the best experiences of different things that I had to do. And like I said, but I'll save that story for another time, another episode. But if you like this episode today, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, as that always helps the channel. Remember, we are on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast platforms. Please be sure to leave your comments down below, as I always love getting back to everybody. Make sure to check out some of the other episodes on the channel, and I will be back to everybody again real soon.